Hi everyone. So I have a very special guest with me here today. His name is Adam Glaser. Many classical members probably know him personally because he is the conductor at Juilliard Pre-College. So if you could introduce yourself really briefly, I'll just ask you to do that and then we can jump into the questions right after.
Sounds great. Thanks, Hannah. So, hi, everybody. My name is Adam Glaser, and I am coming to you from Long Island, New York. I am the music director of the Juilliard Pre-College Orchestras. This is now my 26th year at Juilliard as a conductor. My God, time has flown. And I'm an associate professor of music at Hofstra University and the music director of the South Shore Symphony. And I'm so happy to be here on the on Clexical as part of this series. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you could give us your time today. And so I just wanted to ask, because you had your concert or the PCS concert 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago, with your piece, and I was kind of wondering what your initial inspiration was behind certain like that piece, for example, or your composition pieces in general.
Sure. So PCS, so the Pre-College Symphony is one of two orchestras that I conduct at Juilliard. It's a younger group. The average age is, let's say, 15, 16, a lot of 8th, ninth, 10th, and 11th graders, and all amazing musicians. And I have to say, it was such a privilege to have them play this piece, which is called Passacaglia, in the form of a Passacaglia, which we can talk about the form.
Mhm.
Um, and this particular piece has had kind of an interesting journey. I was commissioned to write this piece by a friend of mine named Jim Millar. Mr. Millar was the director of orchestras and choirs at Tenafly High School. Tenafly is in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, and so he asked me to write a piece of music for his orchestra, and this was for string orchestra only at the time. This is 2017, 18. And so I wanted to write something. Uh, I chose the Passacaglia because Mr. Millar and I always talk about Brahms symphonies, and we happen to love the fourth movement of the Fourth Symphony of Johannes Brahms, and that's in the form of a Passacaglia. So, in honor of our shared love of Brahms, I chose that format. And just briefly, a Passacaglia is essentially it's kind of a theme and variations, but instead of the variations being on a theme, it's based on a ground bass. It's basically, let's say, 8 notes. It would often be in triple meter. It's from the 17th century, and it's an old form, but you can find new things to do with it. And that was an interesting challenge for me. What can I do with a form that goes back hundreds of years? But I'm not living hundreds of years ago. I want to maybe bring something of my own.
Mhm.
So that's how I came to the Passacaglia, and the inspiration was going to be Tenafly. But Tenafly, the thing I love about Tenafly the most is the Tenafly Diner. Now, anybody from northern New Jersey knows that is the best place to get a cheeseburger. No questions asked. But I didn't know how to put Tenafly Diner into this. So I chose two things. First, I looked up the history of Tenafly. Tenafly was settled by Dutch settlers in the 17th, or maybe was it 17th, maybe yeah, 17th century, I think. I hope I'm
Yeah.
right about that. Um, and it means 10 swamps. So I figured, okay, the number 10 is important here. So I chose the interval of a tenth. I'm going to play that if that's okay. I don't know if it'll come through, but
Mhm.
here's a tenth. That's an interval of a tenth, a span of a tenth.
Oh, I don't think the audio made it. Maybe
It
it's
may not make it. Okay, that's all right. Well, beep. That's my
yeah,
that might come
yeah.
through. So that interval became kind of the basis of the 8 note ground bass that I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
and it becomes kind of the most prominent interval. Versions of the tenth come in. But the second element would be, I figured, what could be more defining of a town than a zip code? So I chose the zip code for Tenafly, which is, as everybody knows around the
Right.
country, 07670. And with a few substitutions for zero being kind of my wild card, I came up with a theme that becomes the secondary theme, so to speak, in the Passacaglia, or a theme that's second to the ground bass.
Mhm.
And with those two elements, I kind of just I went with it, and it became a piece that has many variations, but it also became an opportunity to to work with this great high school, these wonderful kids. They inspired me. I worked with them as I was preparing it, and so we premiered it in 2018, and then I orchestrated it for full orchestra. Just this past last fall, I was on sabbatical here at Hofstra, and I used some of that time to orchestrate it for full orchestra. Premiered by the South Shore Symphony here on Long Island, and then it was performed by it had its, I'd say, New York City premiere
Mhm.
by the Juilliard Pre-College Symphony just about 2 weeks ago, and they did a great job. So I'm so honored to have seen this piece have this journey and wind up here at Juilliard.
Yes, and I was at that concert and it was such a cool piece. And I think
Oh,
it's really sweet that you have a piece that's dedicated to your friend. I wish I could I want to start composing and do something like that too.
well, you know something interesting. Just um, I do get fascinated by composers' lives and the reasons that pieces or that that music gets created. So it could be a commission, but you're saying you want to write music inspired by a friend, or it can be inspired by someone you don't even know. But when you write for a friend, or in honor of a friend, or because a friend wants you to do this, it really is an extra special thing. Listen, any collaboration with friends is wonderful. I just did a concert here at Hofstra 2 weeks ago, and it featured two of my lifelong friends from Interlochen Center for the Arts, Scott LaFergie, a wonderful baritone, and Blair McMillan, a wonderful pianist. And they're great musicians on their own, but the fact that we're friends made it even more special. So I hope I get to hear some of the music or poetry. I know you write poetry that might be inspired by your friends.
Yeah, yeah, that would be. Yeah, I need to write more about my friends because I just love them so much. I need to be out there in the world.
What a
Um,
great, that's so nice to hear. That's wonderful.
so I was wondering if you have other pieces, or if you can talk about Passacaglia again, about if there are any key musical themes you have within your composition you'd like to share.
W- Um, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Passacaglia, the themes there are the theme of the zip code, the theme of the tenth, the theme of the friendship.
Mhm.
Those all tie together. But I have another piece that also has very specific themes, and I guess it's another example of using numbers as a way of getting to a theme. Listen, I'm a big Shostakovich fan, Dmitri
Mhm.
Shostakovich, and he was famous for putting his initials DSCH, or kind of his monogram, into his music. I think that kind of inspired me, and there are a few other composers who do this. So there was a piece that was actually also commissioned by a school in Lake Forest, Illinois, uh, back in 2008, and it's called Launch. And again, Launch in this particular case was just about launching seniors into their future and being positive and taking off in your life and your career. But then I used that launch idea to create two themes. One of them was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like when you count down to a launch.
Mhm.
And this is, well, I'm a little bit cheesy, so I also did kind of a rising stepwise theme, bum 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 bum, and that kind of rising up steps theme was also a driving force in that piece. So I don't write only based on numbers, but
Yeah.
I'm a bona fide nerd, and I feel like that's one way to fulfill my nerd potential. So that's another, but not all. I can tell you other pieces that are not about that, but that might be another example of being inspired by something specific outside of music.
Yeah. No, my freshman year math teacher, huge nerd, was
Good. I like them. I like them.
she was always telling me about, because she knew I play violin and love music,
Yeah,
would always tell me about how math and music are so related and I should understand the physics of math more.
it's true. Math. Um, there are a lot of students that I've met over the years, very, very talented musicians who, whether coincidentally or whatever it is, there are a lot who also love math or the sciences. As you've heard me say in rehearsals, I was not very good in the sciences. I tried, but although I'm fascinated by them and admire my friends and my wife, who's a science teacher, and my colleagues who are in the sciences, but I just struggled with the language of it. But somewhere deep inside there is something about the science and math of music that resonates with me. I just don't I don't think I have a handle on what exactly what that is.
Mm.
If you will, I'm very limited in my understanding of calculus. That was a derivative. Oh, again, it
That's
gets worse.
funny.
Oh, that was terrible. Oh, the arc of my. Oh, stop. Okay. Anyway, so that's interesting. And so you like, are you enjoy math? Have you taken? Are you taking calculus, or have you taken calculus, or
Yeah,
yeah,
my
do you
school
like
has
it?
a very weird math curriculum. It's called integrated math, and we kind of learn everything at the same time. So
Wow.
like
Okay.
we're learning some geometry and also some calculus at the same time. It's a little confusing, but yes, I am technically learning calculus right now.
That's
Um,
great.
but yeah, and right before our interview, we were just talking really briefly about poetry and things. Also,
Yeah.
you said there's some writing you've done based on words or English.
Well, I was one thing because I have two roles. Well, we all play several roles, but two of my roles are conductor and composer.
Hmm.
And as a conductor, so I was showing you. I'll show this to you. So I was showing you a program,
Hmm.
the program of a concert I put together here at Hofstra University on Long Island about 3 years ago, and it was called Poetry in Motion. So I'm going to hold this up here.
Hmm.
Um, and it was the music, all the music in the concert was inspired by some kind of text. Now that means that it could have been anything from uh, text from Shakespeare. Um, there were some pieces by a that were inspired by T.S. Eliot, the poet. There's a Goethe poem that Mozart put to music, and I arranged it for orchestra
Hmm.
called Das Veilchen, which or the Violet. But we also had Sondheim on this concert,
Cool.
and yeah, so we played Send in the Clowns, but then we had someone read the poetry of Send in the Clowns, which we don't think of it as poetry, but lyrics sometimes even just on their own can be very poetic and beautiful and have a music of their own, which might be why composers get inspired by texts. Um, that was a special project that even though it didn't involve composing necessarily on my part, I think it was very fulfilling because it brought together two of my passions, which include music and poetry and literature.
That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So I was wondering if there are any unexplored areas of new music or composition that you are particularly excited to get to learn more about or delve into.
Actually, this is going to be a perfect segue.
Hmm.
I know, well, there are several areas. I think anybody who is a lifelong learner, lifelong curious person, uh, there's never enough time to do all the things that we're interested in. So we have to prioritize. And we even talk about this in rehearsal sometimes at Juilliard, where we are naturally curious. We are so voracious in our appetite for knowledge and for trying new things, but we can't do everything. Listen, until somebody invents a day that has more than 24 hours, and if you can work on this, please do. But if you get to a 28-hour day, let me know. I want to figure out the secret. But until then, we have this limited amount of real estate in our calendar. And so for me, the top priorities for in the near future for me in composition are one, I have actually written some music with lyrics. Some of them are, you might say, like just very straight ahead songs, some choral music. Um, some of the music is based on my own lyrics, but I've never felt that comfortable as a lyricist. I've tried, and I'm proud of some things and not so proud of other poems or songs. But I hope in the next year or two that I can push through that hesitance that I have to share these poems or these songs that have my text in them, or even songs that I've written based on other people's um, poems. So that is something I need to keep exploring. I need to work on because I don't really feel that comfortable. But that's just because we're not comfortable writing doesn't mean we shouldn't try to
Mm.
become comfortable with it. That's one. Um, and I have a number of unfinished orchestra pieces um, that need to be finished. And that's something I don't know if this is one of your questions, but it's something I struggle with is finishing a piece of music
Mm.
and not and letting it go. And that's very, very hard. So I have some unfinished pieces that I'm trying um, to 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 tie a bow on, and that will be, even though it's looking back, it's that will be a new step forward for me.
Mm.
So I don't know if that answers the question in terms of I want to go after 12 tone music or I, I, I've tried different things, but that's
Mm.
what's in front of me right now. Maybe 2 years from now, if you ask me, I'll be all about you know uh, writing for wind band or
Mhm.
theremin or something. I'm just kidding.
No, Dermot's cool.
It is, yeah.
Right, hesitant about writing, or was it about writing the music in the first place or sharing it? Is that, I wasn't sure what you meant.
Thank you for asking for to clarify that. So it's the
Mm.
writing of music. I haven't really had writer's block. That issue of I just nothing can come to me. I don't think I have. Who knows? Knock on wood. I'm so far that's been the case. But um, it's really more the sharing and the finishing, choosing one way to arrange something for certain instruments. Um, uh, so something this is probably the thing that I remember the most as a kid because I was studying composition at pre-college early on. I loved improvisation. I still do. I love improvising. Improvising is something that comes even more naturally sometimes than playing through, I'm looking at Beethoven sonatas or Bach keyboard music or, even more naturally, improvisation comes more naturally to me.
Mhm.
Um, so, uh, so I don't think, I'm not saying it's all good,
Mhm.
but, and in fact, telling the inner critic to be quiet is a big challenge for me. I think for a lot of composers, a lot of performers.
Mhm.
Um, but the sharing of it and it's the finishing of it and choosing this is the way it's going to be, um, and not tearing it up and not rewriting it is something I still struggle with. Um, So I hope that clarifies a little bit.
Yeah, 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 that definitely does.
Yeah.
That kind of
Um,
segues to my next question about
sure.
how maybe contemporary composers, like as a whole, one of their biggest, what do you think one of their biggest struggles is? Especially because contemporary classical music especially is not the most like accessible medium.
Interesting that you say that. That the assumption, and
Hmm.
I know what you mean. It's the perception of contemporary music um, can be, oh, it's going to be contemporary and
Yeah.
harsh, and that I I know that feeling. Um, I even felt that way myself many years ago.
Hmm.
But thankfully, a few things are happening. Number one, I think music is becoming more accessible with streaming, and it makes it easy. The cost of trying something out has gone down. So if you want to try anything in life, you want to get on YouTube or get on Spotify or Apple Music, and you can listen. If you don't like it, it costs you nothing except your monthly fee.
Hmm.
So that has helped. Also, and this is probably even more important, I think there's such a, a, a wide range of music that is being written, good music that's being written by composers, young and old, that is, whether it's atonal, tonal, somewhere in between, whether it's ethereal, whether it's a crossover with pop music or jazz. There's, I feel like, I have no proof of this, but I feel like there's less um, hesitance or shame. Not that ever should have been shame, but there's less shame for bringing something out to the public that's just extremely accessible right now. When I was growing up in the 80s, I was in pre-college, and I remember feeling like I had to write things that were more difficult, and the more difficult it was, that makes it better, and that's just something I had to get past. Um, so. I think one of the big challenges for contemporary composers is overcoming the myth, the preconception that contemporary music
Yeah.
is difficult to listen to. it's not true. There's so much wonderful music that is really accessible
Hmm.
and really, really good. And it's just keeping an open mind. But that's tough for composers
Hmm.
to overcome, because how do you get that across if no one wants to listen? So um, maybe technology will be a helpful way of getting it out to people. I don't know.
Hmm.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope classical is a helpful way of getting it out to
What
people.
what you and Laurentia and Edward and your whole team are doing is absolutely phenomenal and very inspiring. So absolutely, I think classical will inspire others to do the same. I hope
I
it's
hope
really
so
great.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because actually, before Juilliard pre-college, so that
Mm,
was my first year was 2 years ago when I first joined in freshman year.
yeah.
Um, I hadn't played any contemporary music at all, or
Wow.
actually any music that wasn't part of like the classical music canon.
Sure.
I
Sure.
like I grew up. I kind of just started with the Suzuki, like the pieces that everyone plays, and
Yeah.
so I remember the very first piece we rehearsed was like the Gaelic Symphony by Amy
Amy
Beach,
Beach.
and I
Yeah.
was like mind blown. Like this is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I think joining Juilliard pre-college and especially like the orchestra where we have such a variety of pieces we play taught me how to be more open-minded, and I hope that more of my fellow students can feel that way because I do feel like even within the music world and music like school mentality there's the same assumption that contemporary classical music is like very difficult to get into.
I'm so glad you shared that, Hannah, because um, that's one of the, I think what you're experiencing is something that we and faculty at Juilliard, faculty at many schools that probably we like hearing the idea that students are having their minds blown by a piece that they just didn't expect to like or had never heard of. But you're not the only ones going through that. I'll speak for myself. I'm going through that too. I was not that familiar with the Gaelic Symphony, and this the more open-minded approach to programming that we're seeing in the last 5 or 10 years, including but not limited to composers from underrepresented demographics.
Mhm.
Um, all of this music has, again, you can't like, we're not going to like everything, but there are some pieces that I just never heard of and that are not even that new, like maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago,
Mhm.
70 years ago, that, from the mid 20th century that I just never knew about, like Ruth Gibbs. Ruth Gibbs Symphony Number Two. This is a British composer from the 20th century, and we performed her symphony earlier this year in Pre-College Symphony, and I am in love with this symphony. Um, it's, by the way, it's quite tonal. It's extremely accessible,
Mhm.
very much influenced by Vaughan Williams and his language. But um, to me, this is one of the great things is expanding the canon. Um, and it also makes programming, it makes being a conductor even more fun. I mean, I love my Brahms. I
Yeah.
love me some Beethoven and Shostakovich and Copland and all these folks, but these are the names I heard early on, but they're not the only ones that can teach me something. And so Gibbs and Amy Beach. We did a Samuel College Taylor piece, one of several we've done, and I'm in love with it. We did the Hiawatha Overture on this last program.
Yeah.
Loved it. I loved this piece, and it was great for the students. So
Mhm.
I have to stop there because I'll keep going on other composers. But I'm glad to hear that you're having the same experience that you can have this experience many decades from now too. Hopefully you will, because it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, this is a little bit unrelated, but I was kind of wondering how you use your role to program some of the concerts you conduct.
Well, it's it's funny. We were talking, maybe it was before the recording, about wearing how we wear different hats.
Yeah.
Um, when I'm programming for Juilliard pre-college orchestras,
Mhm.
or for Hofstra Symphony Orchestra or Chamber Orchestra, I have two orchestras here that I work with that are both terrific, and I'm wearing I'm wearing a few hats. One of them is, of course, I'm wearing the hat of a conductor.
Mhm.
Um, we want the orchestra to sound good. We want the audience to be inspired, etc. We, but my role in both of those, in all of those, in here at Hofstra and at Juilliard is also to inspire the music. Sorry about the beep from text. Um, um, I'm trying to inspire the musicians on stage just as much. Frankly, that should be the case in a professional orchestra too, or in the South Shore Symphony, which are adults. But especially with students, the audience is not necessarily my only or primary stakeholder. My stakeholder really is the students and the university or the college community that I'm in, the school. So that drives a lot of the choices that I'll make. That I need to find really good balance, not just among eras and styles, but I need to find something that's going to keep the strings really engaged in a concert. Um, and make sure that I don't overload them with things that will make them stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing, as you know, Alto Sprach Zarathustra right now in pre-college orchestra by Richard Strauss. You'll notice the same program also has three other really great pieces, and they're all connected by film, as you know, it's called Beyond the Stars, Music of Film and Imagination. So there is a through line, but all four pieces bring something different to the student's experience on stage.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can tell me if we've achieved this so that, in other words, there's a lot of stressful stuff in the Strauss, um, but it's a worthwhile challenge. Hopefully you're getting a lot of protein from it, so to speak.
Yeah.
John Williams' E.T., Adventures on Earth, that's also fun and worthwhile, but a different kind of challenge. Korngold, Michael Abels, I hope balance it out. So sorry for the long-winded answers to say that I'm playing several roles when I'm programming. And one of those roles, if not the primary role, is making sure that my students and the musicians on stage are having a varied, worthwhile, forward-moving experience.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. It's definitely coming through to me because of
Good,
what I said about discovering new music. Um,
good.
I really like also Sprock. Really excited for our concert.
Me too.
Um, but I'm just seeing from the Zoom clock here we're a little bit running out of time on
That's
the
okay. Whatever.
but
I
um
have a few minutes if you want to continue. It's fine. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was gonna say um I was a little bit not sure about like see there's always music you're not sure about because it's new. That's how I felt about the Michael Abels piece. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But
I
like the
get it.
more I think it's also coming as like a performer's perspective, like actually playing the music and getting to learn more about it. Like every rehearsal has been very influential to me.
I I have a theory
Hmm.
about why this is. I have the same experience that there are pieces that there are pieces that struck me and as soon as I heard them that I just loved them.
Hmm.
And but then over time I felt like, well, that's not as interesting, but still good.
Hmm.
There's some pop music that I liked early on, but is a little less interesting to me now. But then there are pieces um, that grow on you. But I think a lot of music becomes more enjoyable the more you learn about them.
Yeah.
You learn about the piece. Also, Sprock has that famous opening, so people like it right away.
Hmm.
But then if you have them listen to the other half an hour, wait, what is that about? I thought this is supposed to be 2001 Space Odyssey, and
Yeah.
but, even this piece, which I've liked for many years, I really love Zarathustra now because I myself am again every time I go through a piece I'm learning something more. Um, this is one of the reasons why I love what I do, which is that I'm spending my life performing music, studying music, and this is really why I became a conductor. It started as a way I got interested in conducting partly because I was trying to become a better composer. I wanted to be a teacher. But I found that one of the things I love the most about conducting is that I'm constantly learning or relearning music, and there's always incremental learning.
Hmm.
Always incremental learning. And the Michael Abels piece, Global Warming, is a good example. When I first listened to it, I didn't understand it. I thought it was cool, but I didn't really grasp it until I started reading about the background and how he was trying to evoke an Irish folk melody and blend it with a Middle Eastern
Yeah.
melody. And he does it really well.
Hmm.
And then I read about the fact that it was commissioned by an orchestra in Phoenix, and he was trying to evoke the desert. So he has the very high strings and the open intervals in those opening cello and violin solos,
Hmm.
and the guiro, which he uses to evoke cicadas in the desert. These things, the more I listen to it, the more I dive into it, the more interesting it becomes. And I wonder if that's maybe happening for you, and hopefully for others too. But
Yeah.
that's often the case. Even E.T., which I've liked for years, I'm learning even more. Wow, I didn't notice this motive. So maybe have you noticed anything about, like, you might have heard E.T., but by playing the music, perhaps does it become more interesting, or is it more like, well, now
It
it's
is.
yeah.
I think an ET, well, John Williams is really good. And then I can hear the theme like from the other instruments where I didn't hear it before, like in the background.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think every rehearsal that I have or every time I practice a new piece, I learn more from it, even in my just my part too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, and also the pieces where you have these sort of like enemies to lovers trope is like the ones that you end up really liking for like long term forever.
Interesting.
For me
Interesting.
at least.
Well, it's funny. There's first of all, and it's not healthy. It happens, but it's not healthy for anybody to just say, "Well, it's no good because it's in this category." There's good classical music. There's not so good classical music. There's same thing with rap, hip hop, jazz, country, bluegrass. Something I've learned a little more about in the last few years. And it, for me, E.T. Okay, it's not meant to be. Um, it's not meant to be a four movement symphony that encompasses the universe and all of life. Different projects have different ambitions or different scopes,
Mhm.
but it's the music itself is supposed to bring Steven Spielberg's movie to life and
Mhm.
affect you emotionally. And my goodness, how he does that is just absolutely brilliant.
Mhm.
Um, and uh, I mean, Star Wars, and he has he did the soundtrack for or the music for Catch Me If You Can,
Oh
which
my
is
gosh, love that movie. Do you see
yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio here?
No, you have DiCaprio. Yeah, well,
Yep,
he's terrific.
that's him.
Yeah,
I love that
but
movie.
well, that movie is brilliant. But listen to his music. It's for so many reasons. It's just brilliant. It's John Williams.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, yeah, well, I could talk about this another
Yeah.
hour or two. It's really great because and whether you're analyzing music or writing music, very often a conductor is trying to get in the shoes or the mindset of a composer.
Hmm.
And I do that too when I'm opening a score. I think, this none of this was inevitable. Just because it's in ink now doesn't mean it was in ink then. The composer could have gone in 10 directions. And sometimes when I'm studying or even teaching a score, I'll play for my class. What if it had gone this way? It could have.
Yeah.
They had to make a choice. So it's good to look at it from both perspectives, writing it and trying to interpret
Yeah. Totally agree with that because I'm sometimes I look at the music in front of me, I'm like, why did they
it.
choose to
It's
do
okay.
that? But
But you
it
could,
is very intentional. It's more intentional than I think, and I can like see that from like trying to learn how to write counterpoint in my theory classes.
good.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. Writing counterpoint. Oof. It can be tough. It will teach you a lot as a
yeah,
performer. It's wonderful. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's great. I'm so glad to hear the interest that you're pursuing, Hannah. It's really wonderful. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's just terrific. Terrific.
I'm I really hope we can talk to I don't want to make you I think you're already a little late to your dinner
I
meeting.
I texted my friend, but we can do a part two, or we'll continue on our own anyway. I'll see you at
Yeah.
Juilliard. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be part of this project. And when you sent me the website, I took a look at some of the other composers on there, and oh my goodness, I admire so many of them. So but most of all,
I
I'm a
learned
huge. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just learned how amazing these composers are and how willing they are to share about their process and work with me is just so nice for me.
Well, you're inspiring. I'm sure they feel the same way too, that to see a young person with so much talent, so much curiosity, so much intelligence, and your willingness to share and to want to help others, um, get closer to contemporary music or music of any kind is not just admirable, it's inspiring, and it's just terrific. So again, my hats off to you and to Edward and Laurentia and the whole group of young people and not so young people who are part of the Hartt School. It's great, and I look forward to watching more of what y'all are doing.
Yes, I'm okay, so we'll post this on our website and thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. I'm so honored, and thank you for having me. Really is a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more on Saturday.
Sounds good.
Thank
Okay. Take care.
you. See
Thank
you
you. Bye
next
bye now.
time.
Bye bye.